Today's presentations are focused on the topic of the temporary foreign worker program, the Ag stream specifically. We're going to have two speakers that are going to be presenting on their experience and their perspectives as employers, hiring TFWs through the Ag stream program. And then following those speakers, we'll have speakers from El Salvador and from Honduras, talking about those two countries' labor migration programs. And for some reason, my notes just disappeared on me. Oh. Well, I'll have to, okay, here we go. I'll have to improvise because my notes were supposed to come up for me. We'll have El Salvador and Honduras speak about their labor and migration programs. And I will be giving an update on a pilot arrangement that we have with El Salvador. And this pilot arrangement will facilitate employers that would like to trial hires from El Salvador in the 2024 LMIA year. So with that, I'm going to line up MC and Shawn. MC, I had your bios nicely lined up, and Shawn, I had yours lined up, but I do remember a little bit. So I'll say this, that MC and Shawn are going to speak about their experience, their firsthand experience using the TFW Ag stream program. MC has been with Mucci Farms since 2003, and so she works with the HR team there with a focus on the temporary foreign worker program. I think they're kind of at 1,000 workers, foreign workers from around the globe. And Shawn works at Schuyler Farms. He's the human resource manager there and does everything. And both of them really work from that first day, that arrival to departure of the workers and all the paperwork that's involved from beginning to end. So both of them live and breathe the temporary foreign worker program, and they're going to be talking about the Ag stream program, how they live and breathe it. And with that, I'll bring up your presentation on the screen. And I believe, MC, you're going to start?
Yeah, I am. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me here today. So I put this together as kind of a comparison to show the difference between SOP and Ag stream. So I'm going to jump in and talk about when you bring in SOP people, you determine your farm's needs. You can move this to the next slide, Stefan. So you determine your farm's needs and the number of TFWs required. Then now you do your LMIA in the portal, and that just started for the 2024 season, which we've been working on. You decide which country you want to submit to, your number of TFWs required, and you can add your names here if you want to choose certain workers. You have to select the third party, so that Farms checks your application and then it gets sent to Service Canada. Service Canada calls and goes through your application with you to confirm, and then it gets approved. Farms receives the approval at the same time as your company does, and they begin their process. You'll receive your invoices, so you know your flight dates are booked, and then CanAg informs you when your workers are going to be available for pickup. So that sums up the SOP stuff. Shawn, you want to jump in on the Ag stream?
Yeah, perfect. So AgStream works very similar to the way that SOP does in the way that it processes and the way that the application is done. So under the AgStream, you're going to determine your farm needs, the number of people that you're going to have coming out. You're going to send a request to the country representative that you work with. So, for example, like Mexico or Guatemala, you're going to communicate with them directly through their platforms. So the biggest difference between the AgStream program and the SOP program is the use of farms. So this is completely outside of that. Now, when it comes to completing the LMIA and the portal, it's much easier to wait for the names when the workers arrive and add them to the LIMA before you send it to Service Canada. However, with the AgStream program, there is a supplemental form that you can fill out to switch names. So if you're unsure of who's going to be coming to the farm and or something happens and somebody can't arrive, you can just fill out that form there and have them switched out as long as they haven't already arrived in the country. So the approval process is pretty quick through Service Canada for the AgStream Lima specifically, and once you are completed with that, you can then submit that to farms to use CanAg services for flights and whatnot, or you can decide to do them on your own. So with AgStream, you have more control over how people are arriving to the farm. Stefan, we move on next slide. Okay, so once that Lima is approved, it's just like regular processes with SOP. You're going to get an approval letter. You're going to fill out your contracts and everything and make sure that everything is good to go regarding the standards of the program. When you're looking at the program itself, there's a couple slight differences. For example, under SOP, you charge utilities. Under AgStream, you charge rent. And the biggest difference is regarding the clawback for travel. So with SOP, you can claw back up to 50%. The standards are set out in the contract. With AgStream, as the employer, you're paying for the flight to the farm and you're paying for the flight home in total. There you go. Okay, so flights are the same prices. They don't really vary too much. Whether you decide to book the flight on your own, you can shop around and maybe get a better deal or work with an agent. If you do decide to register your AgStream Lima with farms specifically, you get the same pricing. However, one of the things that I learned last year is that SOP employees take priority over AgStream employees for flight preference. So if you have people that are going home in November, they are at the end of the line over SOP employees, so they get those seats first. So that's just one thing to be aware of when organizing those flights. However, everything is still the same. You go through, if you're working with Jamaica, Paula over at CanAg will take care of those flights and communicate with you the same way that she normally would. So when AgStream workers arrive, the company is responsible for helping the TFW with their health cards. That's something that we've always done as well, but you're also responsible for all other aspects. So the entire onboarding process. So your tax documents, your filling out your contracts and your annex, all that stuff falls on the farm, just like how some of that does for SOP. The biggest difference is the liaison services are not available to you. Okay, so when people arrive on AgStream, they go through the same line process, they get their permits, and then you as an employer have to go and pick them up unless you've registered your AgStream Lima with Farms and CanAg, then you can use their services for transportation as well. So employers are also required to ensure that the TFWs get their SIN number. So just like when they arrive to the farm there, sometimes they'll get it at through Service Canada and through the liaison will help. In this case with AgStream, you're booking everybody down to go to the Service Ontario office and Service Canada office to get their documents. Next one, Stefan. Okay, so direct arrivals. So for our direct arrivals, we use the services of an immigration consultant to process all of our permits. We find that is the best way to go down. I'm not an immigration consultant. I don't know enough about immigration specifically to understand the details of it. However, you can attempt it on your own and fill out the paperwork and submit that to IRCC. It's just in my experience, an immigration consultant is the better way to go for the peace of mind that it's going to be done correctly. So when you're working with other countries recognized by farms, like I mentioned, you can register with CanAg to book those flights and the transportation to your farm. Communication with the liaison is still required if you register that Lima, just so they're aware of people that are coming into the country. And what I have seen as that has been a bit of a change over the last year as well, is that any issues or concerns or challenges that you're having with an employee on AgStream, the liaisons have been very flexible in assisting. So that's a little bit of a change from a few years ago when it comes to the interactions and some guidance. Okay. The extended healthcare benefits available through Cowan are also available on AgStream as well. So this is another thing that I learned through Cowan Insurance. We were able to get 30 of our AgStream employees onto a benefits package, and it works the same as any kind of group benefits. So it's the same Cowan Insurance that everybody else has. The difference with that is that the premiums are now paid by the employer, and then that would be a withholding that you could do on your contract with your employee, so that way they can pay for their coverage. And the coverage is very reasonable. It's $1.29 a day. So that is another great thing. So if you can set that up before, right, your required coverage for 90 days, you would have the Cowan Insurance as there for that. Okay. Next slide, please, Stefan. Okay. So one thing I wanted to point out as well is the job bank process. So under the SOP program and under the AgStream program, Service Canada launched their TFW job bank. So this allows individuals who are maybe not happy at their farm or having challenges or issues to seek alternate employment while in Ontario. So there's a couple of different things that happen when you're looking at that. So somebody is coming up for the end of their contract. They don't want to go home. They want to continue working in Canada and earning money. They can go onto the site, but it's led by the employee. Okay, so as an employer, you're not obligated to help find them another farm. If you want to help them navigate the site, that's up to you as an employer to help them with that, but you're not obligated to do that for them. So on the job bank site specifically, when you go there, you're going to see that it's the temporary foreign worker job bank. So this is not the regular Canadian job bank that everybody goes on to. So you're going to go in there and you can search for your location. You can search for what type of work that you're looking for. Stefan, next slide, please. The most important thing to point out here, we can see we got a split screen there. So you want to make sure that people are looking at what kind of job they can apply for. So at the bottom here, we can see who can apply to this job. So a lot of times I'm hearing from employees on the farm, you know, I went on job bank, I'm not getting anywhere, I don't know what to do. It's not allowing me to create a profile or that kind of stuff. It's specific on the job that you're applying for. So it will tell you on the actual job posting where and how to apply for this job. Okay. Next slide, please, Stefan. So this is a very important one as well. We see at the very bottom there, it's changed. So if there are restrictions on who can apply for this job, it's going to be listed there as well. We can see the big red exclamation mark there. So this is the biggest challenge that I've seen with this site so far. So as I said, as an employer, you're not obligated to navigate this and find a farm and call for the employee. But if you want to help them, maybe make a resume, or if you have a contact at a place up there and maybe make the connection, what you really want to be careful of is that you don't create any promises or give the impression that you're going to be recruiting on their behalf to find a farm for them. That's not your obligation as an employer at all. It's just to guide them in the right direction. And then if they decide to not accept a flight at the end of their contract, we on Schuyler Farms, we have a form regarding how, like what's going to happen and what we need to do as an employer should you be refusing a flight. And then everything is on the employee as well to find another farm to work for. And under the IRCC rules, you have 90 days from the expiry of your permit to obtain another permit. And so that becomes very important for people to make sure that they maintain their status. Otherwise, you're looking at a whole other process should you want to accept them to come back to the farm if that 90 days has passed. So I just wanted to point out the job bank because this is something that's new. It's something that people are really excited about. And there is some intricacy on navigating that. So just take a look at it and see what you think.
You can tell.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, Shawn. I'll just jump in. Could I remind people to please mute yourselves if you haven't already? We're getting some background noise. All right, back to you, Shawn.
Okay, perfect. I think that's actually my last slide there, Stefan. Yeah.
So back to me then. I guess in the last 10 years or a little bit more, I've noticed that with all our companies, it's easier to manage and plan labor using the AgStream program. The TFWs are consistent, fully trained group. And we can have them for a longer period of time to allow for more efficiencies on our farms. We schedule the soft workers in the busy harvesting season, and then it also allows us to let our extreme guys and women go on vacation and schedule time away so that they can have a chance to visit their families. And we can bring the extreme currently up to 2 years on the low wage LMIA. And what I have done this year, which is something new, is we tried a group of 1 year. So the advantage here was we didn't have to schedule vacations for them. And so far, it's working out really well for us. So more about that next time. With extreme, you get the workers you request, but with SOP, there's always a chance you end up with a replacement worker. That does not happen in ag stream, which I find is super important. We want the workers that we ask for. Workers on the ag stream program reach out to us and we can interview them if they're already in Canada. This is a huge thing for us. There's a lot of workers out there that are already in Canada. They've decided they want to stay, just like Shawn was explaining. We can interview them while they're here, get them on an LMIA, and once they're on and approved on an LMIA, because they already hold an agricultural work permit, we can move them right away and have them begin working while they wait for their new work permit under our company's name to arrive. So that just happened in the last few years, which has made a huge difference for all of us. The biggest thing I find with our extreme people is they really have the experience and the knowledge, and they really want to come and stay for multiple contracts. So it's an advantage to all of our farms to have that level of experience come back again and again. And that's it.
Thanks, MC. Thanks, Shawn. We'll open it up to the floor. Does everyone, well, I'm going to put the instructions out there. If you want to ask a question, you can go on to reactions and press the raise hand button. I will try to get people on a first hand that I see, first come first serve basis. Otherwise, type your questions into the chat, and again we'll do first come first serve. I'll start off just by MC. You have a nice kind of side by side here of SOP and AgStream. I just wanted you to expand on that. You mentioned that they're compatible. They can both exist in the same workplace. What kind of shifts your decision towards filling a position through an AgStream versus through a SOP? Is it just the time window, like the fact that it's a narrow harvesting window, or are there other factors that go into that?
I think our biggest factor that's happened within our company is we have lights in all our greenhouses, so we don't have downtime anymore. There's no downtime. So we are operating 24/7. So the advantage of AgStream is they can be here when the SOP can't be here. And that was a real struggle for us when we first put lights in all of our greenhouses, because we were trying to get everything possible done before that December 15th date where SOP has to be out of the country. And then getting them back in by like January 4th, that was super critical because we've got crops in greenhouses. So I think that was the biggest decision. And then just the flexibility, right? It's not as regimented. It's regimented on how you want it to work, not how the program works. If that explains it.
Yeah, thanks, MC. Anything, Shawn, you want to add?
Yeah, we found that AgStream over SOP, you know, there are pluses and minuses on both sides, but with AgStream, the control, like MC spoke about, and being able to guarantee the people that we want to come to the farm, and also being able to seek other employment opportunities for individuals who are already here in Ontario. So, you know, like for us, for apple harvest, when September hits, it's much easier for onboarding and getting people to work if they're already here in Ontario versus waiting on the direct arrivals, going through the whole process and whatnot, and any hiccups that might happen there. So it gives us that flexibility to interview and hire people a little easier on the farm.
Thanks, Shawn. We've got a question from Michaela here. I'll read it out and then I'll give MC first dibs. How about that? And then Shawn, I understand obtaining an AgStream work permit is the employee's responsibility, but are there any immigration offices that can assist employees with this in person?
Yeah, in our area, which is Kingsville, Leamington area, there are 3 or 4 of them that I can think that are licensed immigration consultants that we don't tell our workers how to do it. We just say, this is what you need to do. These are the options available to you. Let us know who you choose. And it's working out very, very well. And it's going much quicker. There's also, we have a group of workers here that from the Philippines that all speak English and read and write English. So they tend to try and do the process and navigate it by themselves. They are successful with it. They can do it. I just find that it takes them longer to actually produce a new work permit versus using the immigration consultant. So we always recommend going that way.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well when it comes to the immigration services. So we have an immigration consultant that we work with directly, and we always give the option is we can help you navigate this through our immigration consultant who is registered and licensed, or if you want to do this on your own, you're free to do that as well. So it's very important that you know, people understand that they're going to a registered, licensed immigration consultant to get their permits done. It does make the process a little bit easier. They also have access to different portals through IRCC for the permit process specifically. So updates and that kind of thing is a little bit easier for an immigration consultant to get more quickly than an individual who's going through the regular portal or 800 numbers trying to find out their status.
Thanks, Shawn. People are being a little on the shy end here. We don't have any other questions come in. I was going to ask both of you just to kind of revisit that slide that Shawn had around some of the uniquenesses of AgStream. What would you say to someone who's never done AgStream or is kind of considering it? What would surprise them in terms of the similarities and the differences between the paperwork for SOP versus AgStream and the timelines, like the turnaround times on things like LIMA approval or filling the position?
Yeah, the largest difference that I find with the approval process is because you're not going through a third party, so your approvals are much quicker. So you're not waiting, you know, 3, 4, 6 weeks for a LIMA to be approved. The fastest I've had a AgStream LIMA turned around is 24 hours, and that was under a emergency circumstance. Typically, I can get an AgStream LIMA approved through Service Canada directly within a week. So it does a little bit faster. The downside to AgStream, like I mentioned, with is the cost. The cost is on the employer, right, for the flights and everything and that kind of stuff. So there are benefits to using farms and using SOP, you know, for the administration fee and all that kind of stuff for what they process. And then it really comes down to the biggest difference is cost. Do you want to take on the cost on your own to be able to control it a little bit better through AgStream and have those decisions, you know, that you're making, you know, follow through? Or are you looking to go through SOP and that if you're just needing bodies and it doesn't matter if it's the same person or a different person or you're more flexible, right? Like those are the biggest differences. And then if you look at the deductions as well, so the deductions, there's a big difference between how the deductions are done and how much they are. So the SOP program has the utility deductions, and you've got the liaison fees, and you've got the clawback for travel. On AgStream, you don't. You can charge $30 a month for rent, and that's it, right? So there's no other deductions that are taken from the employee.
Thanks, Shawn. MC, anything else?
I would agree with everything that Shawn just said. It's all very true. I know that some people I talk to by using Xstream take care of their own flights and don't rely on farms to do their flights. From my perspective, we're down here in Southern Ontario. We're 4 hours away from Toronto. I still go back to Farms Canada to have them book the flights, just simply because we need the transportation from farms and to bring our workers down here. It's just not feasible to try and have somebody up there to manage them coming through the airport and getting through that process done. So I'm always going to go back to farms for the flights, but that's just the way that I do it.
Thanks, MC. All right, I'm going to try to read this question, and I might need Juan to chime in on the mic if the speakers are struggling with the question. So here is the question. I'm confused in the last part. You mean if they are already in Canada with a closed work permit from another farm, can they still work in hours?
No, they have to have an LMIA approved from another farm to be able to move farms while they wait for their next work permit. Canada allows that now. They didn't used to, but they do allow that now. But they still have to have an approved LMIA, and then they have to apply for their new work permit, have their receipt to give them implied status before any of that can happen. I hope that explains it.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, is this one?
Yes.
Yep, go ahead.
All right, yeah. So what you mean is that once we apply for an LMIA, then you can get the approval. You know, you get the approval to get it, and while they're doing their work permits, even that they have a closed work permit with someone else, they can work with us.
As long as it's no, that's not what I'm saying. As long as they have a, I'm sorry, hold on 1 second. If they have a closed permit and they're in the ag stream, they'll allow them, and they're already in Canada, they will allow them to come here on implied status while they get their new work permit. But always check with Service Canada that they're going to say, okay. They usually do, in my experience.
Okay, so we don't have to wait for the new work permit to arrive.
No, not always. But again, once they've made their application to have the implied status, double check with Service Canada that they're okay with it. That's what I do, and I haven't had any problems with it. As long as they're an ag stream worker already.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, MC. Thank you, Juan. The next question is from Michaela. I'd be interested in some registered immigration consultant contacts, please. And that would be in the Brant County area. I think we can endeavor to follow up with you, Michaela. I don't know that we specifically endorse anyone, but we can maybe share whatever contacts we have afterwards. So. Next question is Exeter Produce, and that question is, are there any suggestions for wording on contracts?
So that's the great thing. There's already an existing AgStream contract, just like there's an existing SOP contract. So there's no special where you fill it out the same as if you were doing a SOP contract, but it's for AgStream. So you want to make sure you read through that and become very familiar with the differences between the two contracts.
Thanks, Shawn. Next question is, will the presentation and contacts for the embassy will be shared? question, the answer is yes. That will be done afterwards. The contact information will be up on some slides later on, and there will be the recording of this webinar will be shared with participants afterwards. The next question is from Stephanie. Can you clarify the wage cap for a low wage stream? I don't know if either of you want to jump on that one, or if that's low wage, I guess technically is outside of ag stream. But does either of you want to take a stab at that?
Yeah, so when you're looking at the low wage, it's based off the NOC codes, like when you're looking at that in the NCL list, right? So it's the low wage and high wage is usually determined mostly by the type of job and the responsibility and that kind of not always the dollar amount, although that does come into play as well. So on Service Canada, they've got the list of your high wage and low wage. I don't have a lot of experience with the high wage because everything that we've done on the farm to date has been on the low wage stream.
Thanks, Shawn. MC, anything to add? Or
Yeah, I agree with Shawn. Everything that we've done is low wage. You know, we have people that have been here for a long time, so that, you know, we've shifted them up into higher wages, especially with ag stream. Like our companies at the beginning of every year, if you've been here for a year, they're going to get an increase just like anybody else would. So when I'm doing my applications, I'm actually putting a low wage and a higher wage in to cover everybody, because I've had people here on contracts for like 5 contracts, which means they've been here for 10 years. So they're obviously going to make more than somebody coming in and starting at $15.83.
yeah, great point. Thanks, MC. We have one more question that is from Joanne. Are payroll deductions the same for both?
It depends on the stream. So like Shawn said before, if you have stop workers, you're clawing back some of the flight costs. It's a utility deduction that you're getting back, and then there's cow and insurance. I think that's the deductions. On the ag stream side, you don't get any of the flight back. You can charge them after 90 days for the Cowan or whatever insurance company that you use. And it's called a housing deduction that you put in the contract, that you're allowed $30 a week. So that would be the difference.
Yeah, and then all standard provincial and federal tax deductions apply. Yeah, so anything outside of the what's allotted for in the contract would require a withholding agreement. Depending on what it is, just like with SOP, you can't just arbitrarily deduct anything from somebody's paycheck without their written approval first. So yeah, it's all mapped out in the contract on the allowable deductions.
Good. Thank you to you both. We don't have any other questions from the participants right now. So why don't we give another, let's say 5 seconds, and then we'll wrap up this session. Okay, seeing none come in. Shawn and MC, thanks so much for agreeing to present and share your knowledge and your experience today. Really appreciate it. Feel free to stay on. Oh, we have one more question. Can you both okay with doing one more question?
Sure.
All right. If the ag stream workers tend to work 6 days, is there a special form?
No, I mean, it would fall under your regular, provincial guides and that kind of stuff. So what you have to be careful of is, some of the communication that we've had regarding the maximum hours per day and that kind of thing when it comes to work. So it falls under same regular Canadian employment laws and regulations when it comes to hours for your commodity restrictions and that kind of thing as well. So there's nothing special. There's just what you as an Ontario employer have to do, under the law.
Yeah, good summary, Shawn. You have to respect your provincial laws, whatever province you're employed in, and I believe it needs to be aligning with your LMIA that was approved by Service Canada. And if there are any major deviations from that schedule, then documentation is highly recommended for a future integrity audit. Is that fair to say, Shawn?
Yeah, 100%.
Great. All right. Thanks so much, you two. I appreciate your wealth of knowledge.
Anytime.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. And I will line up Team El Salvador. Now that we know I can't pop over to my speaking notes that I had prepared for you, I'm going to be going off memory. So forgive me if I don't get some names right. For everyone on this webinar, the next presentation will be from the El Salvador government, including from their embassy and from their Ministry of Labor. We have His Excellence, the Ambassador Ricardo Cisneros, who's going to be joining us. Also, we're going to have from the embassy, we're going to have Fernando Jose Aguilar Reina, and he is the consul and program liaison for the El Salvador government and based in Ontario. We will have technical analysts from the El Salvador Ministry of Labor, Anna and Sarah, and we're going to have the consul in Toronto, Hazel, who's going to be speaking about her ground support for workers here that arrive in Ontario. So I know the ambassador was going to do concluding remarks, but Ambassador, would you like to do some introductory remarks before we start with the presentation as well?
Yes, of course, Stefan. Thank you very much, first of all, for this invitation to the Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association. Thank you very much to invite our team to this webinar. Yes, well, first, few words as an introduction. I think the temporary workers program is a win-win program, either beneficial for Canadians, but also for Salvadorians. I wanted to underline this because most of the time we think that this is just one side benefits, but from our Salvadorian perspective is really also of a great benefits for our population. And just to give you an idea, when one Salvadorian comes from El Salvador and stays here in Canada for a few periods of time, this person has the possibility to improve his language skills. Can be English, of course, but also French, and the technical skills, depending on the sector in which this person is working. When that person returns to El Salvador, it provides much more benefits to our economy, since this person has higher skills, higher language knowledge, and it improves our tourism sector, our agricultural sector, and any kind of service-related industry from El Salvador. So any company that is bringing temporary workers from El Salvador, for example, give to that Salvadorian the possibility to either come back the following years to continue with this circular migration program, or gives that person the possibility to grow in El Salvador, having his own private company, or provides to that person the possibility to move from rural areas to more urban areas where that person can develop further. So this is, I want to underline this because most of the time people think that it's only from one side benefits and only for Canadian benefits. And we draw from this program a lot of benefits also for Salvadorian population. Keep in mind that not all Salvadorian wants to migrate to Canada for many reasons, and beginning by the cold. We don't have -30 in El Salvador. In El Salvador, when you come to our country, the temperature remains between I would say 25 to 32 degrees. So it's paradise all year around. and we don't have that challenge of having these temperatures of -30. So most of the Salvadorians want to return to El Salvador, and this is very important also to keep in mind, that people want to have these benefits of having that circular program and being able to improve their economic welfare, but at the same time return to El Salvador. So I just wanted to underline these 2 points, and probably the last point I would like to make here is that we can also work on making our programs more efficient. You will have a presentation by the Ministry of Labor on how we are conducting the recruitment program. But at the same time, we need also to tango, and we need to have a more efficient program, but also with the help of the Canadian authorities, where we need also to have their help to be able to provide much more efficient programs and to have a more, I would say, on-demand requests or on-request workers arriving to Canada in a more smooth way, in a more frequent way. I mean by that we also need to work with IRCC, we also need to work with other institutions, Canadian institutions, to make the system more efficient and to have a more fluid way of making workers arrive to Canada. Without that help, without that support, it's going to be difficult just for one government to make that program work. And this is very important for us to have, for example, LMIAs more fast provided to the companies, and that will help us to improve all the mechanism and the flow of workers that would be arriving to Canada. So that's were the 3 points I wanted to make before getting into the presentation. Again, thank you very much for the presentation, and I'll be glad to answer to the questions after the presentation we'll be having either from our embassy or from the Ministry of Labor and our consul in Toronto. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ambassador. I failed to mention that when the speakers for the El Salvador, the consulate and Ministry of Labor have completed their presentations, before the ambassador does concluding remarks, I will be giving a brief update on our pilot arrangement that we have with your team, Ambassador, on facilitating access for Ontario employers to your consular team and to your Ministry of Labor. And I will be giving an update on how what offering we have to Ontario employers to make that access easier to your team. So we look forward to that update as well. With that, Fernando, are you ready to take it from here?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and presenting to all of you today. You can hear me right, correct? Yes? Okay, so I may be sharing my screen right now. And if I'm able to share the actual presentation, yes, we have it here. So can everyone see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So as the ambassador was introducing ourselves to this program, we are focused on regular, orderly, and safe labor migration to our people, protecting their rights, of course, and making sure that we are establishing long-lasting relationships with companies that will be honoring the contracts, and as well, we making sure that the people are honoring their contracts as well. And part of that strategy is being able to display how our country stability is. We have, for example, connections with airlines, what the ambassador was saying about people wanting to return to El Salvador. That's another factor. And the quality of life that we as government are trying to improve in our country, which is reflected on the capacity of people working here in Canada and returning to our country with more technical and language skills developed. And as I was saying, in our context is within the regular, coming from irregular migration to regular migration and access to regular paths, and hence positive impacts on labor mobility experiences for employers and workers. To improve in a financial way, and in knowledge as well, because there are some courses that are being delivered, and we're going to talk about that later on the presentation. So part of our principles are being centered on the people and the actions that these people develop, comply with laws, principle, and fundamental labor rights, ethical recruitment, which is a part that our Ministry of Labor is going to elaborate on, and trying to improve in cost-related matters. This is going to be as well touched by our Ministry of Labor, and you're going to see that with one of the benefits of our program is that there's no cost for the recruitment on the side of the contractor. Respect the freedom of movement, respect transparency, terms and conditions of employment, respect confidentiality and data protection, having dialogue and cooperation with the institutions involved in all these processes. We know in Canada there are institutions and organizations. We're going to see some of that in the next slide. And share the responsibility between countries of origin and destination. We know that's a key factor on these processes. An overview of the countries, the focus countries of our country are, well, the United States and Canada. As you can see there, we have people deployed, workers already landed in these countries, and we are negotiating with the other countries that you can see there, Spain, Italy, Panama, and Belize. Belize is a country that is close to El Salvador, and they're offering opportunities as well. So this next slide, we have the allies or the parties involved. And we have the International Organization for Migration there. We have the Government of Canada, of course. We have other partners in the private sectors, like in Ferme, Quebec. And support network that I was telling you gives us the opportunity to provide training to our people. We have this school, INSAFORP, which is very specialized in different sectors, agriculture as well. And we have other institutions like ITCA, and these are, as I was saying, institutions that are related to education and perfecting the skills of the workers. In this next slide, we can talk about the vision and what we call power-ups for the labor migration program, as you can see. One of these is a center of orientation and training for temporary foreign workers, which is part of the focus of our government, creating the possibilities for the people to get the know-how of things and how things are being done here in Canada and other focus countries. Because we know it's different to have someone doing or operating machines, for example, here in the agricultural sector, or the way that things are being done in the farms, than the form it's being done in El Salvador. So we want to make sure that we tackle that gap that can be in the way that things are being done here in the agricultural sector here in Canada and the way it's being done in El Salvador. Another thing is, another power up would be the program Transformando Vidas through the labor mobility. So this is something related to what the ambassador was highlighting about people with the wages they make here in Canada and in other countries. They can return to El Salvador and start being productive in a different way. And then we have this is like a policy, siempre cerca, like always close or being together, strengthening family links in the distance, because it's we know by experience it's difficult to be away from home, and there are even support programs related to that. We have also the program Piénsalo dos veces, which is trying to tackle the fact that there's a lot of there are scams. There are companies that do not that they offer certain things, but in the end it's not what was expected. So we have all these programs related to tackle these situations, not being for people not being scammed, or that hopefully there's not fraud involved, and we have support lines for that. And then we have the impact of the programs. And I just wanted to highlight a little bit about other sectors as well, because we know we are in an agricultural stream, but just for peace of mind, people invest when they return to El Salvador in home improvement, they start a new business, paying their debts, education, acquisition of a home, and others. So we've been monitoring what our workers are doing and what, in order to provide them with the best options to improve their way of life. And according to the impact evaluation of workers returned to El Salvador during 2022, the results show that 100% of the participants are fully committed to prevent their families and communities to migrate in an irregular way. This is kind of like the whole core and purpose of our program, because we would like to give the opportunity to people to being temporary foreign workers and then return back home and then start creating that culture of coming here to Canada, work here in Canada, and then return. And then coming in another wave, coming in another wave. And in that sense, being able to apply the circular migration process. And part of that, that the ambassador as well was highlighting is these successful stories. We have Jose Rivas on the left and Claudia Edith on the right. These are people that had great opportunity to work abroad. And for example, Jose Rivas is saying that his vision is to continue growing more and more. He wanted to have livestock and plant and have his own farm. And he's doing so in the municipality of San Luis Talpa in La Paz in El Salvador. And in the case of Claudia, she was working in commercial goods in the municipality of Metapan in Santa Ana. And she's looking into entrepreneurship, like carrying the relation between what men do and women do. And that motivates her to start her own business in areas of her interest. So this is something that we wanted to share with you guys, a couple of successful stories. And then a little bit more about the Siempre Cerca program, which is something that we do with the families of the workers when they return to El Salvador. So we can make sure that that family link stays, and that they as well come here, work here, and then return home, and that they have this link, strong family link. Here are some examples of the pictures that we had during the workshops. And if you can see, there are workshops, it's online. We can see online the connection. And this is something that really helps the workers to feel better in the country of destination, in this case, Canada, of course. And basically, with that in mind, we just posed the question: if you want to hire Salvadoran workers, we're here at your service. And with this, I conclude this part of the presentation, and I'll stop sharing and let me know, Stefan, our next point. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fernando. At this point, I think we've got Ana and Sarah that are lined up to speak about the mechanics of how El Salvador recruits and makes workers available through the migration program. Again, I just want to remind people on the call that this program that El Salvador runs is accessible through the AgStream program, which is why it's part of today's AgStream themed presentations. Thank you, Fernando. And with that, I'll open things up to Ana and Sarah.
Okay, thank you so much, Stefan. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay, I believe that you are able to see it right now. Okay, hello, good morning. As you said, Stefan, my name is Ana.
And my name is Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Okay, both of us are technical analysts of the labor migration program that it is managed by the Ministry of Labor and Social Welfare of El Salvador. We are very excited to share this space with you, and we hope to meet all your expectations. Today, what we're going to present to all of you is how does the program works in El Salvador and how could you take Salvadorian workers to Toronto. Okay, here is like a brief description of what we are going to be reviewing today. It's a table of content, but don't worry, we are going to try to explain everything in detail so you can all understand how the program works and in broad terms. and how we can support you and the workers in the labor demand you are facing right now. Without further ado, we're going to review the program. Our main objective is to promote the labor inclusion of Salvadorans through regular, orderly, and safe migration to countries where employment opportunities are identified. It is important to clarify that we follow an ethical recruitment process in which the applicant does not acquire any cost for participating. Further on, we will specify what costs the employer or the employee are going to be incurred. But it is important for us to clarify that to participate, there is no cost. Okay, on the next slide, we have the characterization of Salvadoran migration. We classify two types of experience. We have the agricultural experience and non-agricultural experience. But today we're going to focus only on agricultural experience. We have experience including agriculture, livestock, tobacco, greenhouses, nurseries, and etc. The highest percentage of pre-qualified farmer applicants are in the range of 25 up to 43 years old and have a basic level of education. Okay, here we have the recruitment mechanisms that we follow as a minister, and we have 4 important phases. Each one of them is different, but each one of them complements the next one. We have the business management, the recruitment and selection, we have the work visa application, and the monitoring and follow-up. Here, Sarah is going to detail how everything works.
Thank you, Anna. And as Anna was saying, I'll explain how the mechanism works. The first one being business management. Its purpose is to manage in conjunction with international companies, the promotion and recruitment of Salvadoran workers in order to promote regular, orderly, and safe migration. They must respect the labor rights of Salvadorans and provide equal conditions to citizens of those nations. The second one, we have recruitment and selection, which basically the profiles of workers that meet the requirements of the program and the contracting company are identified. They are interviewed and subjected to a selection filter designed in accordance with all the requirements of the job offer. The third one being the work visa application. We support the workers selected by the hired company in all the necessary procedures for the visa applications of the destination country. We manage the required documentation and accompany the worker in all the remaining steps. And last but not least, the monitoring and follow-up is basically we as at the Ministry of Labor and Social Welfare, in coordination with the consular offices in the country of destination, we provide follow-up during the period in which the worker will perform the temporary employment aboard. The ministry has a single official registration system in which all the interested possible candidates can share their data and apply. Currently, there are more than 200,000 people registered in the system. What are the recruitments and selections step by step? The first one being the online registration and form completion. Then it comes the pre-selection of candidates according to the requirements. We schedule an on-site interview with the recruitment team. We execute the on-site interviews. Then we verify the required documentation. We send the potential profiles to the hired company. And in case they are not selected at the time, we schedule the virtual interviews. Then the virtual interviews are executed, and last we confirm the selected candidates. What is the work visa application step by step? We prepare the documentation required for the work visa, temporary work visa online application. In this case, the ministry does the application with no cost at all. Also, in this point, it is established who will make the arrangement with IRCC directly and who will assume the cost of the application, the medical examinations, and the biometric data. Then we schedule the biometric data, the medical exams. Then it comes the approval of visa and delivery of passports to Mexico. We receive the passports already stamped with their visa, which takes approximately 15 days. After those 15 days, there comes a notification to the employer that we received the passport. Then we notify the workers that we received the passport, and then we can coordinate the trip, so we can schedule the date. Once they're ready to travel, the company schedules the airline day and time for the trip. And as the Ministry of Labor, we offer the job offer and employer feedback. We have the labor rights training prior to travel, and we coordinate and support to the airport. And one of the last steps will be the monitoring and follow-up. Basically, since we are committed to ensure that the welfare of all Salvadorian workers in Canada, we maintain direct contact for the proper monitoring and follow-up of all workers. Likewise, we work together with the consulates in the different provinces to ensure that they are well. And now I'm going to show you a little video that is a testimonial of a worker, so you can see a little bit of what this opportunity brings to them. I think that you cannot hear the video, right? I'm trying to fix that.
Are you all able to listen to the video, or am I having some trouble?
Yeah, there's no audio, Sarah and Anna, but the subtitles are there. So I think the information can be presented if you're having
okay.
audio issues.
Okay, thank you.
that's it for the video. Thank you so much for the time and the opportunity. If you have any questions, then later on you can make them.
Thank you, Sarah and Anna. I believe Hazel from the consul office in Toronto will speak next.
Thank you, Stefan. Hello, I'm Hazel Hernandez, Consul General of El Salvador in Ontario, Manitoba. It is a pleasure to be here with you. In this opportunity, I will talk briefly about the assistance provided by the consulate in the integration process of temporary workers. Fernando will share some slides so you can see some photos. Upon arrival at the airport, a representative of the consulate receive the workers, assist them in the review of their work permits, and provides them with basic information about the consulate services, among other aspects. Additionally, with the support of social organizations, also the Salvadoran community, the workers have received in previous occasions winter clothes and food. We can replicate that for the next group of workers. Next slide, please. For the workers that live in the GTA, the Toronto Public Library has donated public transportation cars to them. The consulate and the community work together, providing practical information to workers to facilitate their integration process. As you can see, there is a photo of a colleague that is in a TTC in a transport public station, teaching them how to load the cars and how to use the public transportation. Also, the consulate has requested the support of social organizations to make presentations to different group of workers about the health card and the social insurance number, specifically on how to apply for it and its proper use. Additionally, in coordination with a social organization, an online space has been set up for workers interested in learning basic English. At the end, you can see that as the Ministry of Labor talked about, we coordinate visits with the companies to provide consular services to the workers and follow up on the performance of their work. So in a brief way, I try to explain you how the consulate participates. As you can see, many Salvadoran institutions work together in this program to facilitate the process, and the Salvadoran workers are more than willing to work in the best way possible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hazel. Fernando, are you at this point ready for me to transition to our pilot, and then the ambassador wraps up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, let me share the screen. I will just show what people can expect. We're going to be, OFVGA is going to be making this document available to everyone on this webinar. It essentially is an arrangement that we're going to make available to interested employers. Before I get into the details of it, I just want to set the stage for when OFVGA kind of tallies the resolutions that we get at our annual general meeting. Some of those resolutions go to committees, and there was a resolution that came up at our AGM in February this year that asked for OFVGA to take a leading role to make additional options available to farm employers, including greenhouses, additional options for hiring temporary foreign workers around the world. And everyone's familiar with the SOP countries, so the idea was to expand options for folks to explore and make those available to people to engage with at their own time and when they're ready for it. So this pilot arrangement is based on that direction that we got from our membership. Bill George is the labor section chair at OFVGA, and so working under his leadership, we've engaged with El Salvador to make the following arrangement available to interested farms. Again, this is focused at Ontario farms and greenhouses. What we would make available is if you want to contact me. My information will be provided. We will facilitate a direct contact between your farm or greenhouse and the El Salvador government staff. And by direct contact, we mean 2 layers that are available to you if you want, either in person or by Zoom. And that would be with the consular embassy level to get that government, that direct accountability from their leadership. And then with the technical staff, a follow-up meeting to talk about your actual LMIA and kind of job specs kind of needs of what you need from the El Salvador worker pool, like the skill set and whatnot, and the duration that you would need the workers for. So that would be in the follow-up meeting with the Ministry of Labor technical staff. So those 2 meetings can be facilitated by OFVGA, and our expectation would be that once you've had the conversations with El Salvador, that you make those decisions at your own time and based on your own needs, and follow up directly with the El Salvador program. And OFVGA would get out of the way at that point. We would offer that we gather feedback from any farm that participates or that decides to hire from El Salvador, and that we accumulate any employer experiences and worker experiences and accumulate that into a lessons learned that we can keep working with El Salvador and make the offerings better, including but not limited to facilitating transportation if there's an opportunity for that down the road. At this point, as the ministry described, transportation and flights are arranged by the employer. So that's just wanted to be clear about that. Okay, so with that, we will be sending this out following the webinar, and I will let the ambassador wrap things up for El Salvador. Your Excellency.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan, for this opportunity to let us present to your members our program. As a wrap-up, I would say the temporary worker program from El Salvador is a long-term vision that we have. Our program is here to stay. We're not just focused on the short-term vision of providing labor force for the next season. We're really working on a long-term vision. That is why we have a interinstitutional program that includes also the Ministry of Labor. They have presented to you the process of recruitment. We have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in El Salvador that also works with us, with IOM, to be able to provide all the permits to immigrate to Canada, even if it's temporary. We also have the consulate in Toronto, but also in Montreal, in Calgary, in Vancouver, providing help to assure that we have a labor force very well integrated in their own communities and in the private companies. So we are all committed to provide a regular, safe program for our population, efficient labor force for the Canadian companies, and all this population very well integrated into the Canadian society. Just to give you an example, we have a very large population in Canada. We have around 130,000 Salvadorian here, being the largest Central American community. Very well integrated, very well hardworking persons, very low rate of criminality, considered as one of the most well integrated communities from Latin America. So I would say the best ambassadors of our country are our own population, and that they are the best example for you to have as a guarantee that the labor force you will be hiring will be of a great quality. That said, we also I would like to mention that we are working very close with the Canadian Embassy in El Salvador. They follow very closely our program. We work hand with hand. What's the expression? The mano a mano. Very closely with them, providing all the necessary to provide all to make all the efforts that our program is successful. So as I say, in conclusion, our vision is not just short term, it's not seasonal, it's a long term, and it's a real commitment that all the institutions are doing to provide the best labor force we can for Canadian companies, but at the same time to have a safe trip and regular migration for our population. So thank you very much to everyone, and hope to see you in El Salvador, where I say it's always 30 degrees plus and never come to minus as in Canada. But thank you very much for this presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, and to the entire El Salvador team. Fernando, would you like to put up the contact slide and share your screen with that information? I know some people had asked earlier for that contact information. Again, I'll just reiterate that we don't want to get in the way of farms engaging directly with El Salvador. I think in the spirit of being able to keep track of individual experiences and also facilitating that conversation with your embassy level and that consular level team, Mr. Ambassador, to make that to help make that easier and track our progress as a collective. We prefer if you contact OFVGA, but certainly we don't want to get in the way of individual farms reaching out directly to your Ministry of Labor if people just want to do that. So with that, again, I want to thank you very much and invite anyone on the call. If you have questions for the El Salvador presenters, you can do that either now by raising your hand or putting your questions into the chat. And I'll also ask Tanya and her team to be lined up to go next. But first, we'll open it up to questions.
I will be sharing the slide, Stefan. Just give me a sec. I have the contacts from Canada, and I may be sharing as well later the contacts from the Ministry of Labor.
Thank you, Fernando. Juan has a question. Go ahead, Juan.
Hello, how are you? So this will be shared, like where we can apply for either people from El Salvador or Honduras, like after, and the pilot that you guys were saying will be like exactly the same one that will be for the Mexican workers.
So with the Mexican workers at this point, there's a formal process that is available through farms. Not to say you have to go through farms, but there is a formal process that is offered through farms. At this point, El Salvador and Honduras, the reasons why we're doing these presentations is because they're not part of the farms program offerings. So the way that you would hire through El Salvador or Honduras, for that matter, is that you engage directly with their Ministry of Labor or with their consular team, who can then put you in touch with their Ministry of Labor and the program. The reason why OFVGA is involved at this point is that we want to make available to you that consular or embassy level engagement, where you get that senior level commitment and that level of accountability, because I know El Salvador is committed to making this a success, and OFVGA is able to sort of track accountability and success, and hopefully summarize the years and everyone's experiences to keep making things better as a collective for Ontario growers. And also we're able to arrange a follow-up meeting with the Ministry of Labor, so that you can actually get into the details of what your LMIAs contain and what kind of job specs you have that need to be filled and the time periods that you need to hire for. So that would be discussed between you and the Ministry of Labor in El Salvador or in Honduras, respectively.
Okay, thank you very much. And also saying congratulations to El Salvador people for, I just seen over the news, the awesome work that the President Bukele is doing over there. Just saying that congratulations to them.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Fernando, I'm not seeing any other questions.
Do we have more questions, or will we just? Let me see if I can share this. If you want to have the whole list of contacts, give me just one moment.
And while you do that, I'll just ask the obvious question. I already know the answer, but if someone is looking to fill their 2024 LMIAs with El Salvadorian workers, would they be able to do that by engaging with your program?
Yes, of course. That's the answer. Yes.
So those are the timelines we're looking for when we arrange a consultation with the El Salvador team, is the 2024 LMIA year. Thank you, Fernando. So this will be available. We're going to record this. This screen will be available for anyone following afterwards. And Fernando and team, if you want to make this available as a PDF, I'm happy to include that as a separate attachment as well, in addition to the recording.
All right.
But we can discuss that afterwards. With
Should
that,
we
thank you.
sharing this?
That's great. Thank you very much. Good. With that, Tanya, again, I apologize that my speaking notes are gone, so I will go back to what you sent me. Tanya is I believe, the consul in Toronto, or might be based in Ottawa, for Honduras, obviously, and she's the lead person on the temporary foreign worker program that Honduras offers. She will be presenting along with Mr. Alfredo Monte, who's the coordinator of the program for the Ministry of Labor of Honduras, and the ambassador, Her Excellency Beatriz Valle, is going to be joining as well. And I think I'll open it up to the ambassador first, if you'd like to make opening remarks. Otherwise, Tanya, I'll take my cue from you, who will do the first presentation. Don't be shy.
Well, hello, I am Ambassador Beatriz Valle, and this presentation has been a very illuminating one for me. I arrived in Canada around 3 months ago, and one of our main focuses will be, of course, the migration program. We want to thank the Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Growers Association and you, Stefan, for all the help that you have provided with our migration program. I will not speak too much because we have our team all worked up with their own presentation. So I will allow them to do this, and then if you will allow me, I will do some closing remarks, and that will be it. Thank you very much. This is a program that is so valuable for Honduras and for Canada, as well as the El Salvadorian ambassador expressed it here. So thank you very much, and I will give the floor to our star for the migration program, Tanya Casco, who is up front in this endeavor. So Tanya.
And thank you so much, Ambassador. We really appreciate that. And Tanya, I know we hope to expand our pilot to Honduras, of course. So we look forward to continuing our work with Honduras and look forward to your presentation today. Thank you. Tanya, I don't know if you're speaking or if you're on mute, but at this point it's silent on my end.
Sorry, Stefan. Thank you so much, Stefan. Ambassador, thank you very much for your kind words. And my name is Tanya Casco. I'm the Consul of Honduras in Ottawa. I'm also the liaison of the Temporary Foreign Working Program. We want to express our appreciation for this kind initiative to help present options for the members of the OFVGA community. In the case of Honduras, we work under the agricultural stream program from contracts that run from 8 to 24 months. We are very proud of the Honduras program since it initiated in 2017. I have seen the opportunity, I have seen the program grow through the years. And right now we're currently working with various farmers in the Ontario region and having a close relationship with MC, like that she's present there and the Mucci group. And also looking at the consistencies that the Honduras workers have had with the employers in which they continue to renew the contract. At this time, I will introduce Alfredo Montiel from the Ministry of Labor, and he will explain the process of the recruitment for the workers of Honduras.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alfredo, and I proudly serve as a job coordinator for the temporary work abroad program under the Ministry of Labor of Honduras. Well, today I'm excited to share how our initiative can smoothly link skills and dedication of Honduran agricultural workers with the requirements of the farms in Canada like yours. Well, I will start, right, explaining what is the PTTE. PTTE stands for Programa Temporal de Trabajo en el Extranjero. In English, it's the Temporary Work Abroad program, all right? So this is a special project designed to offer support to Honduran workers who are currently residing within the country and wish to pursue temporary employment opportunity in foreign countries, in this case, Canada, right? These programs aims to help Honduran citizens who are interested in gaining work experience, right? So they can level up their agricultural skills and also, right, earning income. The program assists them. We assist all these workers in finding a suitable job opportunity in other countries, while we ensure that their rights and well-being are protected throughout the process. Our main goal is to make the process easy, right, to all the applicants, and to be as straightforward as possible, giving every eligible Honduran citizen the chance to explore new experiences and contribute to their personal and professional growth, right? So the PTTE is not just a simple program, it's an opportunity for collaboration and growth, right? Because we understand the value of hardworking individuals with the agricultural sector. This program aims to help Honduran citizens, right? So we try to make that to level up the skills, okay? Help me out next. Also, some information about us. The government of Honduras has established an interinstitutional framework dedicated to fostering legitimate opportunities for Honduran workers in Canada. The Ministry of Labor, and also with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in partnership with the Embassy of Honduras in Canada and its consulates, we actively coordinate the efforts to promote the engagement of temporary foreign workers from Honduras in Canada, right? The benefits of this program, it's like a bridge that connect our nations in the way that it's mutually advantageous and deeply meaningful, right? We promote the regular migration. It's a pathway of integrity. as we know that in a world where migration can sometimes be sensitive and complex and a challenging issue, our program shines because we try to make a regular migration, right? So we can, so they can have a safe path, right? All the way from Honduras to Canada. The Honduras workers can contribute, right, to the Canadian economy through a well-regulated process. As we said before, this is a win-win situation for both countries. Also, we support families through a lifeline of hope, right? One of the most profound impacts of this program, it is a positive effect on the Honduran families, right? Because all these workers send remittances, right, back home, and this serve as a lifeline of support. These funds can help their direct families. These create opportunities and elevate also the quality of the life of the family. It's a direct impact of the economy of the life. And also, we are not only providing jobs, we are becoming like partners in shaping the future of all these families. The program works with different countries. Well, with Canada, since 2017, we have been sending agricultural workers to Canada. Also, the program works with the United States of America with H-2B and H-2A visas, that these are for non-agricultural and agricultural workers. Also, we work with Spain with the D-type visa that they are for temporary workers, also as agricultural, all right? Well, we have the Honduras petition process, okay? I will explain you a little bit how the program works, all right? First of all, the petition process, we have our first step, right? That our first step is the petition submission, right? That is the pre-selection, the petition, right? That first of all, the process starts and begins when the company submits the job profile, right, of the workers, and also with the approved petition, that in this case, it's the LMIA. This is fundamental, right, for we can carefully get and gather all these workers. Okay, once the step one has been done, we have the pre-selection process. That this is the processing of the workers, where we gather all the information that the company sent. Okay, here at the program, we take an utmost care in processing petitions. We do pre-filter, we conduct comprehensive interviews, and also we meticulously verify all the pertinent information. So this ensures that every applicant aligns with your specific requirements, leading to a accurate selection of the candidates. In the third step, we have the candidate selection, right? We facilitate a collaborative approach in selecting candidates. We send a list, we provide a list to all the employers, right, with the list that the program proposed, that we present a list of the proposed candidates, allowing you to have an active role in the selection process, right? Because your feedback, it's valuable, and also we want to refine our choices and align with all your expectations. The second step, number 4, is the notification to the selected candidate, right? In this step is when we contact our candidates, the selected candidates. Once the selection has done, right, we promptly notifies the chosen candidates. We guide them through the collection of necessary documents. We ensure that all the paperwork is prepared, and we create all their files, right? So this meticulous approach forms the foundations of a seamless transition, right? So we help in all the process, we help the candidate so they have a peace of mind of this process. Also in step 5, we have the visa procedures for the hired workers. The program take care and navigate international visa procedures, because we know that this can be kind of complex. So we take care and we handle this on your behalf, right? That you don't have to take care of that, or you don't have to worry about. The programs does all these procedures. We collect, and send all the relevant documents to the corresponding embassy. So we ensure a smooth transition, right? So the visa application can be easy to them, right? So we make all this process to all the hired workers. Next, we have the step number 6. That is the departure,
I just wanted to,
monitoring,
sorry
and tracking.
Sorry to interrupt you. So
we do this to ensure a secure journey, right? As departure approach, our engagement doesn't waive, right? We maintain a close contact with all the candidates, with all the workers hired. So we ensure that they are well prepared for this journey. We share also all the ticket details, and we make a orientation talk to set a positive tone for their upcoming adventure, okay? For last step is the return and final contract assessment, right? So we can complete the cycle. In this journey, it's a full cycle, right? When our workers return, we conduct them through a assessment of their contract and performance. So we ensure your expectations, like as employers. So for those workers who wish to rehire, this step is easy for them because we guide them back into the fold, so we can start one more time the process if they are rehired. So next, we will continue. All right. I want to share with you that we try to build a competitive agricultural workforce in our selection process, right? This is in a personal and a professional development. Our commitment does not end only in the recruitment, the selection, and sending them over to the foreign, to other countries. We accompany each of the applicants through their journey, right? We enhance their agricultural skills, we try to enable them to acquire new competences and techniques that will further enrich their work experience. We aim, right, that our citizens that arrive in Canada as empowered individuals, so they can be ready to make a difference and contribute the growth of their host communities. Also, here we have a map where we take care all the selection process, right? As we know that Honduras is a very rich in agricultural, and we have 7 states that we get all these agricultural workers. Okay, also I want to talk a little bit, right, that over the years our program has experienced consistent and growth. In last year, in 2022, we proudly facilitate the placement around 200 skilled workers, right, across various farms in Canada, in the Ontario and British Columbia provinces. As we have progressed through this current year, our momentum also remains strong, and we have surpassed, we have sent more people than last year. We have successfully dispatched around 250 agricultural workers on this year. So this is remarkable. This increased stands as a testament to the trust and success of the program. We have prepared a little video. This is a case of one temporal worker that he went to work to Canada for 2 contracts. This is 6 years, and he has a nice story to tell us.
Mi nombre es Melvin Eliseo Hernández. La aldea aquí se llama San José Intibucá, barrio La Tejera. Aquí se trabaja bastante en la agricultura. En esta zona lo que más se da es repollo, zanahoria, chile dulce, maíz y frijoles. Ya Dios me ha dado esta oportunidad a través del Ministerio de Trabajo. Por las oportunidades que ellos reciben así internacionales para acá, ya le dicen que busquen una oportunidad de empleo, porque menos que allá son otras tecnologías las que se usan, ya no es como las que aquí se agarra el asadón, el machete. Me imagino que ya son nuevos conocimientos, que primeramente Dios uno los traiga de allá para acá. Pues la idea mía es irme para allá, arreglar mi casita, darles el estudio a mis hijas. Que no dejen llevar por la gente para decir que son mentiras y todo eso. Esto es una realidad lo que está haciendo ahorita. Porque yo ya tengo mi pasaporte, sinceramente ya solo estoy esperando, mi hija licenciada, que solo estuve esperando la foto del boleto y el día en que nos vamos a ir.
So as Alfredo mentioned, we always focus in recruitment, right? And as you can see, this is one of like the workshops that they do for recruitment. And because it is important for us to comply with the company's needs. And as a liaison here in Canada, my job is to understand the company's needs. And like I work with them together in order for us to know what is the perfect profile candidate. And we've had very different needs, but I think the profile that we got at one time was for a company of chickens that they required workers that were short and that had big hands. So when I submitted that requirement to the ministry, they didn't understand why, and they needed to talk to the company so we could understand. And obviously because of the work that the workers need to be lifting chickens, 100 chickens, they need to be short because if not, their backs hurt, right? And obviously with big hands because they're always carrying a lot of chickens. So that is one of the focus is recruitment. You have a good worker, and then you have a happy council here in Canada. Can you pass the next slide, please? In this case, we want to present the testimony of Lindsay Hader. She's a turkey company in the Ontario region. She's you'll hear her testimony, and we've done with her. She really likes to interview the workers, so we've done some interviews via WhatsApp, in which she has interviewed guys that in her profile of workers, she needs people that speak English. So this is Lindsay Hader.
What is the name of your company?
Hader's Farm.
Does your company recruit temporary foreign workers in what countries?
We have recruited temporary foreign workers since 2017. We have employees from the Philippines, Honduras, Jamaica, Tunisia, and Morocco.
Why did you diversify your company's workers to Honduras?
We had some long-term tenured employees that were permanent residents of Canada that were originally from Honduras, and they are top performers, so they referred some of their family members, and we have had incredible results since working with them.
What is your experience with Honduras recruitment?
It's been very positive. So we have a contact at the Honduras consulate named Tanya, and she's our primary contact. She's excellent, very quick responses. I tell her the type of candidate I'm looking for, and they do their best to fill that requirement. They help me with the interview process to translate and also give me candid feedback. So they don't just try to sell the candidate. If I have concerns, they look into them further, and we collaborate together to decide if someone would be a good fit. And if I have any questions along the way, they have been really helpful at getting me those answers, as well as the recruitment process from Honduras is much faster than other countries. So when we've worked with some other countries, it can take 6 to 12 months to get employees work permits approved. With Honduras, it's been very favorable and closer to 2 to 3 months. So it's been awesome.
So I always get goosebumps when I hear Lindsay, because at the end, you know, like the worker who's interviewing her, she's learned she has like she teaches the workers English after their regular hours. So he has learned very good English. He's from one of the workers that came with the program. Right now, I think she started with she had some Honduras, but now she has at least 17 workers. And they're all happy, and they're all learning English, so we expect to have more videos like this. I wanted to share a little bit about the difference of the Honduras program compared to other programs. Again, for me and for the program and for the ministry is that it's vetting multi-skilled and reliable workers. This means, as you might have seen in the map that Alfredo showed, there were regions that are identified for agricultural companies in which there's the climate is similar to the ones that are in the farms here in Canada. For example, we know that in the farms for tomatoes, you have to have like they're working under 19 degrees to 23 degrees, right? So they need to have those special skills. The basic training that is provided, we have partnered with some certain government institutions. We're continuing to partner. There have been also workers traveling to Mexico, and I think there was a program that there were 800 workers that went to train and do some workshops to Mexico. Having another program as Honduras, it diversifies the workplace. We have the traditional countries that are under the swap, like Mexico, Jamaica, but Honduras, like the diversity to have like also Hondurans, Guatemalans, and Salvadorians is very good for the companies. In the Honduras program, the only fees that the workers pay are the fees to process the visas. There's no recruitment fees. We have no recruitment as other programs that I feel that they're charging the companies for the recruitment. Orientation talks, as Alfredo mentioned, during each trip nationwide. There's, I think, the OFVGA, they work in an initiative with all the community in Ontario, the Essex community area, in which there's an app, and we have shared the workers. We also work in having a manual for them to understand where do they have to go. You know, what are the pharmacies, where some of the places in which they can also have help in towards, because sometimes they don't know how to speak English, so they need to go to the doctor, or they need a translation, or they need anything. There's like some local community organizations that would have partner, as well as the consulate is available for them. There's like in the Ministry of Labor, they have these recruiting events in different areas, and so they have a database, and the job fairs for the worker for employers. There's been employers that have traveled to Honduras, and just like after the selection process of the ministry, they have gone and done some interviews, a one-on-one. For us, and for the government, that the workers are financially educated. That means that, that they're coming for 24 months, that they know that they have to save. They also, as you saw in the video that Alfredo presented, they want to save to have a better life for their family, to just like put some flooring in the house, or also for grow crops, or for the things that they're learning, just to apply those skills that they've learned here in Canada. We also, in the government, is always trying to work closely with the companies. So if there's need for mobile consulates to go to the companies, and we have a big group of people, the consulate of Ottawa will travel to the area needed, or the company needed. With other programs, there's like fees for recruitment. There's no initial orientation. It's difficult communicating. Lindsay was telling me what sometimes they didn't answer her. And so we try to be like with the Ministry of Labor and here at the embassy 24 sometimes, and we try to communicate with the companies. Why is it beneficial for both Honduras and Canada? So Honduras has a free trade agreement with Canada. We've had relations since 1961. So for us, this type of program is providing legal migration. Right now, the workers that have been here have been signing contracts for 24 months. And that we have workers that they're like in their fourth contract, 8 years in Canada. And some also that are applying, that have been sponsored by the companies, that are applying for the Agri-Food Pilot Program. Remittances, one of the remittances from the workers help support their families. This is like for their kids to go to school. And like at the end, it's just like it helps the economy in Honduras, develops new skills, and shares cultural ties. We can see that and we've learned from the companies and we've seen how the workers sometimes they have like a Spanglish English that they started to speak like they say farma that is in Spanish to say a farm. So it's very nice how like they're sharing the cultural ties with the supervisors and the people that are, and like it's just like sometimes we have some workers that they started to grow corn in one of the hydroponics farms, and so it's really nice to see all these different cultural ties between them. In this last slide, I just wanted to show to you some of the things, because we like to hear from the workers, and we like to know what they're doing with their money. And it's basically just like they're spending, I don't know why, but a lot of the workers had motorcycles, and most of them, they have crops, they have plantains. So if sometimes they bring green plantains that in Canada is very difficult to find them. Those like sometimes the workers go in and sell them to the local markets. You saw this entrance that the worker has at his place. So yeah, this is what makes us proud. This is what the program we strive for in Honduras, to continue having more Honduras workers benefiting their families and our people. Thank you. And so now we're sharing the contact information because it's very important for us to let you know where you can contact us. And, if you have a question, we also there's a 2-hour difference with Honduras. So you can call us here to the embassy or you can call directly to Honduras.
Great. Thank you, Tanya. So I'm mindful of our timelines. We've got 3 minutes left for a scheduled time. The Zoom will not kick people off the line at that point, but I want to be respectful of people's times too. So let's, I think at this point, Tanya, we've got this screen here that will definitely be available to people in the recording, and you and I can follow up on what kind of additional handouts we want to send out to participants. Maybe we want to include a contact sheet. You and I can discuss that. All right. Thank you so much for that presentation. I will, if people have succinct questions at this point, feel free to flag them. I think in the interest of time, I'd like to maybe allow for follow-up to Tanya by email, which I can facilitate. So I'll put my my email address into the chat, and any questions that people have to either of the speakers. Juan has a question if there are any fees involved. Any follow-up questions can be emailed to me, and I will connect directly with the speakers. Tanya?
Sorry.
Any comments on wondering if there are any fees involved?
And for Honduras, no, there's no fees involved. The only fee is that worker that he has to pay for the expenses that's regular, like the visa, the pay for the documents, criminal record check, and the police record, but no other fees are involved.
Thank you, Tanya. Alfredo?
Yes, I just want to add, right, that there are no fees involved in the program, in all the process. What the candidate needs to pay, it's only like if they don't have a passport, right, they have to make the payment of the passport and also for the emergency, right, so he can, so that's the only, it's the personal documentation that they need to pay, and also the visa procedure, right? The right for the visa is the only fees that the candidate pays, but all the procedure with the Ministry of Labor and the program of the temporary abroad program, it's totally free. It's free of fees.
Hello, just a little clarity. Just I remember in the video of the lady of that farm, what she was talking about, she can request to somebody from Honduras. I remember she was saying, and then they find the people for her. So there's no fees or nothing. So I can contact somebody and say, I'm looking for this kind of candidate. And then you guys will facilitate all that. And then then we get all the work permits and everything, get it ready in our end. But then, like I said, it's no any fee involved in that kind of recruitment process that you guys would be doing in Honduras.
So no, so basically that's one thing that differentiates us with other programs. Other programs, I think they charge $350 to a farm to bring a worker. Honduras, no. Honduras, we don't charge any fee. Like the only thing that the worker has to pay is for his own process for the visa, and no fees for anything. So I think it costs the worker $350, but I think in all the programs they need to pay that they need to pay that amount. But no, for the ministry, everything, all the process is free of charge.
And thank you, Tanya. Fernando had a comment to this topic as well.
Yes, exactly. Related to the fees as well, in El Salvador, there are no fees for the recruitment, and I think our colleagues at the Ministry of Labor of El Salvador can elaborate on that. However, there are costs related to obtaining the travel document, for example, as we were hearing from other representatives here in this call. And also, even in El Salvador, there are other processes that can be dealt with as well, like filling up certain forms. Perhaps Anna can explain to us a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Okay, hello. Let's see. There are no fees for the recruitment process, don't worry. The only fees that are discussed are the visa work application, the medical exams, and the biometrics data collection. Those are the only ones. Whether the employer or the employee are going to like pay for them. Even for the work visa application, we as a minister, we provide all the support. We elaborate all the documentation that is necessary. If the farmer doesn't have like another person to help them, we can go through all the process. We elaborate around 14 documents per candidate so they can get their visa approval. So don't worry, we help through all of it. And for that there is no cost. Okay.
Thank you, Anna, for clarifying that.
Yeah, thank you, Fernanda, Anna, and Tanya. But this was one of the reasons why OFVGA was excited to do this event with El Salvador and Honduras, because it's in many ways it's a process like SOP, that the ministries of those countries run the labor recruitment and the processing and the screening of the labor pool. And there's no private recruiters involved in either program, which was one of the attractive features of both. There is one more question about travel fees, and I think we'll wrap it up after that question. Tanya? Is there a travel fee?
Look, I think the Employment Services Development also has already established that the company pays for the flight to come to Canada and the flight back after they finish the contract. So we comply with the regulation for the stream.
Yeah, and just a reminder, the two programs that we've heard about today, Honduras and El Salvador, are compatible with the Ag Stream program. Certainly they're compatible with other programs as well, like the low wage, the high wage, and whatnot. Today's focus was on Ag Stream just because it's the highest volume program outside of SOP, and Ag Stream does require the employer to pay for all flight. All right, wonderful. Tanya, did the ambassador want to make closing remarks? I do want to be respectful again of people's time, but want to give her a chance.
Yes, just really fast. I want to thank the people from our ministry, our team. I want to thank Tanya as well, and you, Stefan, and the organization for this very, very important meeting that we had today. And our mission, our priority here during my tenure will be to streamline and help with more work to make a better offer for companies here in Canada. And in lieu of that, we have been working on signing agreements with agricultural schools in Honduras and English, and so that they can prepare also in English. So we don't have that sort of obstacle in terms of bringing our temporary workers here. And we will be opening soon new consulates. Probably it takes a little while, but we will be probably opening a new consulate in Toronto and probably in Calgary, so we can increase and improve the offer of our Honduran workers here in Canada. Thank you very much, Stefan. I know that there is no more time. I am grateful. I salute the Salvadorian team as well, and all the people who have been in this meeting and who have been kindly listening to our presentations. Thank you very much, Stefan, and we will be meeting soon and stay in touch as well for anything that you might need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Valle. It's mutual. We appreciate your time today. Then again, thank you to all the speakers today, MC and Shawn, Fernando and team, and Tanya and team, and the ambassadors, Ambassador Cisneros and Ambassador Valle. Thank you for your time, and thank you everyone for joining today. We're going to be following up by email. I will try to get this out. Don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but certainly by end of this week, And that will include a link to this recording. And I will be following up with the speakers on any additional handouts they want to include, like presentations or contact sheets. And we'll be including information about our pilot with El Salvador. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, Stefan. Thank you.
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Nice
Have a
meeting you.
nice day. Bye.
Have a nice day.
All right, have a nice day. Thanks.